Most people never unlock their financial power not because they aren't smart, driven, or willing to work hard, but because they never take control of the story running in their minds. They repeat old beliefs. They chase goals they never questioned. They let money dictate their emotions instead of letting purpose dictate their finances. But once I saw that pattern, I knew something had to change. My breakthrough didn't begin with a better paycheck. It began with a better mindset, with seeing money as a tool, not a burden, as something I could direct, not something that directed me. The shift wasn't external, it was internal, and it started the day I decided to rewrite my financial identity. I realized I didn't need to earn more before I believed I was worthy of more. I needed to expand who I was before I could expand what I had. This shift became the foundation, the root system, the launch pad for every financial breakthrough that followed. And that's what this message is about. 10 powerful ways to reshape not just your income, but your identity, habits, and capacity to build wealth that lasts. This isn't just about numbers. It's about becoming someone who creates value so deeply, the world can't help but reward it. Let's begin. 1. Think abundance, not scarcity. Everything shifted when I stopped thinking in terms of lack. For years, I operated with the belief that money was tight, that opportunity was rare, that success belonged to someone else. That mindset made every decision small, every move cautious, every dream muted. Then I realized, scarcity isn't the truth. It's a story, and stories can be rewritten. An abundance mindset doesn't mean denying challenges. It means refusing to be defined by them. It means seeing every setback as setup, every cost as potential value, every expense as a seed that can grow. When I adopted this mindset, I stopped asking, "Can I afford it?" and started asking, "What would it take for me to earn it?" I stopped reacting to bills. I started building systems. I stopped hoarding. I started investing. I stopped envying. I started learning. Abundance means seeing more than what's in your account. It means seeing the value in your ideas, your skills, your network, your time. It's trusting that you can create again, earn again, grow again, because you've done it before, and you'll do it better next time. The moment I shifted from fear to faith, from limits to leverage, I opened the floodgates, not because money rained from the sky, but because I finally believed I was someone who could handle it when it came. 2. Build identity before income. I used to chase paychecks, chase recognition, chase numbers on a screen. But none of that stuck because I hadn't upgraded the person earning it. I had the drive, but I didn't yet have the identity that matched the destiny I claimed to want. You don't grow by chasing numbers. You grow by becoming someone who attracts and sustains them. So I got to work not just on my resume, but on myself. I started speaking like someone who values their time. I made decisions based on vision, not pressure. I stopped calling myself bad with money, even as a joke. I stopped repeating old labels like broke or struggling, and started rewriting my internal script. Your financial identity is built in your habits, your self-talk, your expectations. Do you act like someone building a future or someone hoping things get better? Do you demand value from your team or do you let anyone steal it? You can fake success for a while, but your subconscious will always pull you back to what feels familiar. That's why real change doesn't start with goals. It starts with beliefs, with raising the standards of what you will and won't tolerate. The money follows the mindset. And when I built a stronger inner world, the outer world aligned. 3. Multiply value before demanding compensation. I used to believe that if I simply asked for more, worked harder, or negotiated better, I'd automatically earn more. But wealth doesn't respond to demands, it responds to value. So I flipped the formula. Instead of asking for more, I asked how I could become more. I studied problems no one wanted to solve. I delivered excellence where others delivered average. I anticipated needs. I over-delivered. I built reputation, not just resumes. In a world full of noise, clarity is rare. Initiative is rare. Excellence is rare. So I chose to become rare. When you multiply your value, you become undeniable. People start chasing you. Opportunities start appearing. Rooms you once begged to enter start inviting you in. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional, about showing up in a way that says, I care too much to be mediocre. Wealthy people aren't just lucky, they're valuable. And value, once cultivated, becomes your leverage for life. 4. Master time before you try to master money. Money is a reflection of how well you manage value, and time is your most valuable asset. I used to give my best hours to distractions. I let urgency outrank importance. I filled my calendar with noise and called it productivity. But wealth doesn't respond to motion, it responds to mastery. So I became ruthless with my time. I cut out what didn't compound. I stopped responding to every message. I learned to say no clearly and without guilt. Then I did something even more powerful. I bought back my time. I delegated. I automated. I created systems that worked when I didn't. I realized that every hour I spent on a task that didn't grow me, free me, or scale me was a form of self-sabotage. Most people stay broke because they keep trading time for money. Wealthy people trade money to buy time, and then use that time to create something that lasts. If you don't respect time, money won't respect you. 5. Play the long game with relentless focus. The world is full of people who start strong and fade fast. I used to be one of them. Bursts of motivation, peaks of discipline, then nothing. But wealth doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency. I stopped chasing quick wins and started building long-term leverage. I picked one vision, one skill, one mission, and I stayed with it longer than was comfortable, long enough to master it, long enough to build a brand around it, long enough to make it undeniable. Focus is a superpower, not just in what you do, but in what you ignore. When I eliminated distractions, everything multiplied. Not overnight, but inevitably. Because when you give your best energy to your best work, over time compounding kicks in, and what starts as slow progress turns into unstoppable force. Playing the long game isn't easy, but it's the only way to build something that lasts. 6. Learn to communicate like your future depends on it. Because it does. I used to think success was about hard skills. But then I realized you can have the best ideas in the world, and they'll die inside your mind if you can't explain them, sell them, or move people with them. Communication isn't a soft skill. It's a multiplier. It turns thoughts into influence, value into income, vision into movement. So I studied it. I practiced relentlessly. I stopped hiding behind, "That's just not my personality," and started showing up with clarity, certainty, and intention. You don't need to be a motivational speaker. You need to be a confident communicator, someone who can articulate what they do, why it matters, and what makes it valuable. Your voice is an asset. Train it like one. 7. Protect your environment like a $1 million asset. Because it is. I used to hang out with people who didn't challenge me, didn't inspire me, didn't believe in bigger. And no matter how hard I worked, I kept hitting invisible walls because I was building in a low-frequency environment. Then I made a decision. I wouldn't spend another day around people who drained me, doubted me, or distracted me. I curated my circle. I invested in proximity. I paid to be in the room even when it stretched me. I listened to conversations that elevated my mindset, and I shut the door on anything that made me question my worth or water down my vision. Environment isn't just about people, it's about inputs. What you consume, what you watch, what you repeat. I started choosing with intention, and that choice changed everything. You don't rise by effort alone. You rise by exposure. 8. Respect money so it stays. Money doesn't stay where it isn't respected. I learned this the hard way. I made money, then I lost it. Not because I was reckless, but because I was ignorant. I didn't know how to manage it, multiply it, or protect it. And money, like trust, disappears when it's mishandled. So I studied wealth, not just income. I learned about assets, cash flow, tax strategies, investing, and risk. I stopped being impressed by big checks and started being impressed by smart systems. And most importantly, I stopped spending money to look rich and started allocating money to become rich. Respect means clarity. It means stewardship. It means telling your money where to go before someone else does. You don't need to be perfect with money. You need to be intentional. And that starts with paying attention. 9. Create before you consume. I used to wake up and scroll, listen before I produced, read before I wrote, watch before I built. And every day, I felt further behind, like everyone else was ahead and I was catching up. Then I flipped it. I made a rule: no consumption before creation. Before I listened, I spoke. Before I watched, I worked. Before I took in the world, I contributed to it. And that one shift created momentum. It gave me identity, confidence, a sense that I was shaping the world, not just absorbing it. Consumption has its place, but when it becomes your default, your creativity suffers, your self-trust erodes, your ability to innovate shrinks. Create first, contribute first, build first, then learn, refine, improve. That's how you become a producer in a world addicted to passivity. 10. Make peace with the process. Nothing great is built in a rush. I used to want everything fast. The results, the money, the breakthrough. I'd sprint, burn out, quit, and repeat, never realizing that growth isn't linear and transformation isn't instant. So I started honoring the process. I stopped needing every day to feel magical. I began celebrating consistency. I trained my focus. I stopped quitting when it got boring and started trusting that boredom is a sign you're building. You don't get rewarded for starting. You get rewarded for staying. The process is where resilience is built. Skills are forged. Wisdom is earned. Anyone can be inspired for a week. Wealthy people stay aligned for a lifetime. You want lasting success? Make peace with the pace. Get married to mastery. Trust the slow work. That's how you win. I didn't get here by accident. I got here by design, by failing forward, by studying harder, by asking better questions, by walking away from the familiar. And most of all, by deciding I was worth more before the world confirmed it. That's the secret no one tells you. The world reflects what you tolerate, what you believe, what you expect. So I raised my standards, not overnight, but daily. I treated my time like money, my energy like equity, my ideas like assets, and the return was exponential. If you're waiting for the world to give you permission, you'll wait forever. Give it to yourself, today. The people who win, they're not the loudest, not the flashiest. They're the ones who stay, who build, who protect momentum at all costs. They don't need applause to stay consistent. They don't need likes to feel validated. Their discipline is deeper than motivation. Their habits are stronger than their moods. I decided to become that person, the one who shows up when it's hard, who moves when it's quiet, who creates when no one's watching. Because real power isn't given, it's built. And I've been building brick by brick. You'll never out-earn your self-image. You can hustle all you want, but if deep down you still feel unworthy, you'll sabotage it, delay it, spend it, lose it. So I started working on the internal script. I caught every lie I told myself and rewrote it. I stopped saying, "I'm not good with money," and started asking, "What would someone excellent with money do today?" That single shift moved mountains, because beliefs shape behavior, and behavior builds results. You want to earn more? Start thinking like someone who already does. Act accordingly, speak accordingly, live accordingly. Eventually, the outside catches up to the inner upgrade. There's no elevator to wealth, no secret shortcut, just a staircase of decisions that compound over time. So I stopped looking for hacks. I started showing up. I started asking better questions. I stopped downloading more information and started implementing what I already knew. The game changed when I realized that action creates clarity, that results don't come from knowledge, they come from motion, execution. And once I became someone who takes fast, focused action, I became unstoppable. You don't need more tips, you need more traction. Discipline used to feel like restriction. Now it feels like freedom. Because the more I committed to what mattered, the lighter I felt, the clearer I saw, the stronger I became. I created rhythms, routines, rituals. I stopped negotiating with distractions. I stopped outsourcing decisions to my emotions. I wasn't always the most talented, but I became the most consistent. And in the long run, consistency wins. Talent is a gift. Discipline is a decision. And I chose it, daily. You can't keep blaming your past if you're serious about your future. I used to tell myself stories that justified my limits, about where I came from, what I didn't have, who didn't support me. Then I realized every story is a script, and I could edit mine. So I did. I stopped repeating limitations and started writing possibilities. I stopped rehearsing pain and started embodying power. That's when I stopped surviving and started building. Victims wait, builders rise. Wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what you keep, what you multiply, what you protect. I learned to think beyond income. I started tracking my net worth, watching my habits, asking smarter questions. What's the ROI of this decision? How can this dollar work for me twice? I stopped playing for applause and started playing for legacy. Money isn't the goal. Freedom is. Ownership is. Peace is. And that requires stewardship, not just ambition. You don't rise by accident. You rise by intention. That means waking up and choosing alignment over convenience, choosing depth over distraction, choosing your future over your feelings. There were days I didn't feel like showing up, but I showed up anyway. And those days built more character than the easy ones ever did. Discipline is remembering what you want, even when you forget why you started. That memory, it became my fire. Your habits will build your life or break it. There was a time I thought my big goals needed massive moves. But what I needed wasn't more pressure, it was better patterns. I built morning rituals that grounded me. I created systems for decision-making. I used checklists, journaling, and strategic silence to stay aligned. Small habits, repeated, with intention. They built momentum, and momentum built results. The shift wasn't sexy, but it was sustainable. And that's what wins. You can't keep living like time is unlimited. I started measuring my decisions in decades, not days. I asked, would the future me thank me for this? That single question saved me years of regret. Urgency doesn't mean panic, it means clarity. It means owning your hours. It means using time like the precious currency it is. Because you can lose money and get it back. You lose time, it's gone forever. Not everything deserves your energy. This was one of the hardest lessons. I used to respond to everything, argue with everyone, chase every opportunity. But wealth isn't built in chaos. It's built in clarity. So I simplified. I let go of distractions. I filtered my inputs. I protected my peace. And with that space, my productivity multiplied. The less I chased, the more I attracted. Stillness became my strategy. Your environment is always programming you, whether you know it or not. So, I built a world around my future. I put reminders of my goals where I'd see them. I set up systems to win by default. I curated my social feeds. I guarded my mornings like sacred ground. Because you can't grow if your environment keeps pulling you back. Success isn't just about discipline, it's about design. And I designed mine for growth. Every next level of your life will demand a new version of you. That version won't be built in comfort. It'll be built in resistance, in decisions that stretch you, in conversations that challenge you, in actions that test you. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I started becoming ready. Growth hurts, but so does staying stuck. Choose your pain, and I chose the one that leads to power. Clarity doesn't come from thinking alone. It comes from moving. I used to sit with ideas for months, wondering, overanalyzing, delaying. Then I realized, action is the shortcut. Action is feedback. Action is clarity. I gave myself permission to begin before it felt perfect. And that's when progress exploded. Start now. Adjust as you go. Clarity will follow. The wealthiest people I've met all share one trait. They take full ownership. No blaming. No waiting. No wishing. When something breaks, they fix it. When a goal is missed, they study it. When emotions rise, they manage them. They don't outsource responsibility. They don't hand over power. And that mindset, it's more valuable than any bank account. Because the person who owns their decisions owns their destiny. You become what you repeat. So I started repeating gratitude, repeating focus, repeating boundaries, repeating courage, even when it felt small. Every repetition carved a new standard, a new expectation, a new reality. I stopped saying someday and started living day one. Because who I practiced being, that's who I became. Some people spend years preparing but never move. Others move with what they have and figure it out on the way. I chose to move. I stopped trying to build confidence in silence. I built it in action, in messy starts, in uncomfortable conversations, in showing up when I had every excuse not to. Confidence isn't a gift, it's a result. It's the reward for choosing progress over perfection. Every excuse is a story, and every story can be rewritten. I stopped saying, I don't have time, and started saying, it's not a priority. That single shift revealed everything. Because if something mattered, I made time. I created it. I protected it. And if I didn't, that told me the truth. Your calendar doesn't lie. It reflects what you're building. The most expensive thing you can do is delay. Delay healing. Delay action. Delay alignment. Because while you wait, life keeps moving. And the compound effect works both ways in your progress or on your procrastination. So I moved, even when it was scary, even when it was slow, even when I didn't have it all figured out. And that motion changed everything. Speed doesn't always mean fast, it means forward. No one is coming to rescue you, but that's the good news. Because once you stop waiting for someone to choose you, help you, or fix it for you, you become dangerous. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing. You start building. And in that moment of full ownership, the world starts responding differently. Because the universe doesn't reward victims, it rewards builders. You don't rise by adding more. You rise by removing what doesn't serve. I started subtracting. The commitments that drained me, the habits that slowed me, the people who didn't believe in where I was going. Subtraction gave me clarity. Focus, velocity. Growth isn't always about more. Sometimes it's about less but better. Edit ruthlessly. Align obsessively. Every win I've ever had came after a moment where quitting looked easier. And I almost did, many times. But I remembered, the version of me I'm becoming doesn't quit here, doesn't fold here, doesn't disappear here. So I stayed. I pushed. I moved anyway. And that version, he caught up. Persistence isn't loud. It's loyal. No matter how much you earn, if your identity is wired for struggle, you'll find a way to lose it. So I rewired. I taught myself to feel safe with wealth, to feel calm in overflow, to feel confident holding more. I studied wealthy habits, practiced wealthy behaviors, built wealthy systems, until one day, abundance stopped feeling like a threatened, started feeling like home. You don't just earn more, you expand into it. You have to be willing to look foolish before you look brilliant. The first time you publish, pitch, present, it won't be perfect. And that's the point. I stopped aiming to impress. I started aiming to improve. And the moment I released perfectionism, I unlocked momentum. Start where you are. Say what you know. Build as you go. The experts? They were once beginners who refused to stay silent. People don't remember your hustle. They remember your impact. So I asked better questions. What problem am I solving? Who am I helping? How is this making someone's life better? And when I started creating from service, everything scaled. Because purpose is magnetic. It attracts clarity, resources, people, power. Serve first, earn second, and both will multiply. Not everyone will understand your growth, That's okay. You weren't meant to stay in the version they're comfortable with. You're evolving, and that means shedding layers, relationships, expectations. At first, it feels like loss. Later, it feels like freedom. Keep growing. The ones who matter will catch you or fall off. Either way, you win. Every time you level up, life will test your readiness. Opportunities show up wrapped in resistance. Growth hides behind discomfort. Vision demands sacrifice. I stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "Who is this preparing me to become?" And the answer was always, someone stronger, clearer, sharper, wiser. The obstacles didn't block the path. They were the path. You can't hate the process and love the results. So I made peace with repetition, with routine, with the parts of the journey that felt unglamorous. I found joy in the monotony, in the reps, in the silence. And slowly, the process became the reward. The discipline became the identity. The daily became the destiny. Fall in love with the process and the results will fall in love with you. Most people never fail because of lack of talent. They fail because of lack of commitment. So I became ruthless with my consistency, relentless with my effort, loyal to the vision. Even when the numbers didn't move, even when no one clapped, even when the voice of doubt got loud, commitment silenced it, focus crushed it, repetition buried it. Show up long enough, and the breakthrough becomes inevitable. Money is a mirror. It reveals who you are not, who you pretend to be. If you're generous broke, you'll be generous wealthy. If you're irresponsible broke, you'll be irresponsible wealthy. So I didn't wait to become wealthy to act like it. I started treating every dollar like training, every decision like character building. Wealth wasn't a destination, it was a reflection. And I made sure the reflection was ready. There's no power in information if it never becomes implementation. So I stopped hoarding content, stopped filling notebooks, stopped bookmarking ideas I never used. I picked one concept, one strategy, one move, and I mastered it, applied it, measured it, refined it. Knowledge is potential, execution is power. I chose power. Every goal will ask you to outgrow something. Sometimes it's a habit, sometimes it's a relationship, sometimes it's the version of you that was okay with average. So I released what no longer aligned, even when it hurt, even when it meant walking alone for a season. Because growth is subtraction before it's addition. Clear space, then rise. There is no shortcut around belief. I had to believe I was worthy before I had evidence. I had to believe I could build before I saw progress. I had to believe in the next level before it invited me in. Belief is the entry fee, the fuel, the foundation. Doubt delays, belief delivers. Choose the voice you'll listen to and move accordingly. Your legacy is being built in silence. Not in the big moments, not in the highlight reel, but in the decision to show up when it's hard, in the choice to lead when it's inconvenient, in the unseen effort that no one claps for but everyone benefits from. I started building for the moments that matter not, the ones that trend. Legacy lives in the quiet. You don't need more motivation. You need momentum. I created motion when I didn't feel like it. I took the smallest step possible, then the next, then the next. And somewhere along the way, energy kicked in, confidence followed, clarity sharpened. The secret isn't to wait for motivation, it's to build a rhythm that makes it irrelevant. Momentum makes you powerful. If you want a different result, you need a different routine. So I changed my mornings, my inputs, my defaults. I stopped letting the day happen to me and started shaping it with intention. Because your life is simply a reflection of your patterns. Change your pattern, change your path. Every result you admire was once invisible effort. You see the success, not the struggle. You see the result, not the repetition. But I've lived both, and I'll tell you this, the ones who win are the ones who outlast the silence, who outwork the doubt, who outgrow the version of themselves that wanted to quit. Keep going. even when it's quiet, especially then. There's nothing more powerful than alignment. When your values match your vision, your words match your actions, and your schedule reflects your priorities, you become magnetic. I used to chase things. Now, things chase me, because alignment multiplies everything. Comparison is a thief. It robs your focus, your gratitude, your progress. I used to waste time measuring myself against others until I realized I was running the wrong race. I started competing with who I was yesterday. That became my only metric. Was I more disciplined, more focused, more aligned? That's what mattered. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. Some of the strongest people I've met move in silence. They don't post every win. They don't argue every point. They just execute. I adopted that mentality. I let my work speak. I let my consistency make the noise. And in doing so, I found peace. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is built with decisions. Not dreams, not wishes, decisions. I started asking, what would the future me do right now? And then I did it. That question became a compass. It cut through distraction. It simplified everything. Decisions build destiny. Energy is currency. Spend it wisely. I used to give my energy to gossip, worry, endless opinions. Then I wondered why I felt drained and directionless. Now I protect it. I invest it. I channel it into creation, not reaction. You only get so much energy each day. Make sure it compounds. I learned that action beats anxiety. Whenever I felt stuck, overwhelmed, uncertain, I moved. I wrote the email. I made the call. I shipped the draft. Even if it wasn't perfect, it broke the paralysis. Action is the antidote to overthinking. Move first. Confidence follows. Your network isn't just who you know. It's who you're becoming around them. So I chose rooms that stretched me, conversations that sharpened me, people who challenged my comfort. I didn't need more cheerleaders. I needed catalysts. And when I found them, I grew faster than ever. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. So I built habits that led me even when I didn't feel like showing up. I stopped relying on motivation. I engineered accountability. I made promises to myself and kept them. That's what leadership is. Self-respect in motion. There's a cost to playing small. Missed impact, missed opportunities, missed peace. I stopped shrinking. I stopped apologizing for my ambition. I stopped filtering my dreams through other people's fear. And in doing so, I became free. Small is safe, but it's not satisfying. Rest is productive. I used to burn out as proof of commitment. I wore exhaustion like a badge. But the best version of me doesn't run on fumes. So I redefined rest as strategy, as strength, as fuel. Because a rested mind thinks clearer. A rested heart leads better. Now, rest is part of my system, not a reward for breaking down. What you tolerate, you train. So I stopped tolerating lateness, half-effort, chaos. I started reinforcing the standards I wanted to live by. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others, they're about saying yes to excellence. And that decision, it changed everything. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. So I focused on becoming someone worth amplifying, someone generous, focused, disciplined, aligned. Because the goal wasn't just more eight, was better. Better stewardship, better structure, better self. The person you become is the real reward. I started this journey chasing outcomes. Now I chase alignment, integrity, peace. And every day I grow into that version, the one who no longer needs validation to move forward. The results are a bonus. Becoming is the goal. You have to stop negotiating with average. There's a part of you that wants comfort, ease, predictability, and every day it tries to make a deal. Skip the workout, delay the project, settle for less. I stopped listening. I raised the bar. I made discipline non-negotiable. And in doing so, I built momentum that average could never catch. Your future self is watching. So I started acting like they mattered. I made decisions they'd be proud of. I passed on shortcuts. I stayed in the room. I finished what I started. That version of me, the one 10 years ahead, is the mentor I listened to. And they've never steered me wrong. You won't always feel ready, and that's the point. Growth happens in the discomfort. Power shows up in uncertainty. Identity expands in the stretch. So I stopped waiting for perfect timing. I moved in faith. I trusted preparation. I took the shot. And every time I did, readiness met me on the other side. Discipline gave me options. Because when you control your habits, you control your outcomes. And when you control outcomes, you unlock freedom. The freedom to say no. The freedom to choose. The freedom to walk away. I don't obey pressure anymore. I respond from power. Because discipline built the life I used to beg for. Everything changed when I took responsibility for everything. Not blame responsibility. Even the things that weren't my fault, I asked, what part can I own? What lesson can I extract? What move can I make now? That mindset gave me leverage, gave me clarity, gave me back my power. Victimhood feels safe, but ownership sets you free. Some days the only win is that you didn't quit, that you kept the promise, showed up tired, stayed consistent, honored the process. Those days count. They're the bricks no one sees but everyone stands on when success finally shows up. Win the invisible days. That's how empires are built. You are always becoming. With every choice, every pattern, every input, you're shaping the next version of yourself. So I stopped drifting. I started choosing with intention. Books, friends, habits, thoughts. I asked, does this align with who I'm building? If the answer was no, I cut it. Because becoming is constant, so I chose who I became. Your life expands in direct proportion to the level of conversations you're willing to have. I leaned into the hard talks, the honest mirrors, the uncomfortable truths. And every time I did, I leveled up. Not because it felt good, but because it freed me. Talk real. Grow fast. Success isn't a look. It's a lifestyle. I used to think it was suits and speeches. Now I know it's systems and stillness. Integrity over image. Rhythm over rush. I stopped performing success and started practicing it. Quiet. Consistent. Real. The difference between the average and the extraordinary? Follow through. Ideas are everywhere. Execution is rare. So I built the muscle. I made completion my habit. I created finish lines and crossed them. The world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards delivery. Finish what you start. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your standards. I raised mine in how I spoke, how I worked, how I treated others, how I treated myself, and the world responded. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because standards set the tone for what you attract and what you allow. You can't think your way into transformation. You have to act your way into it. So I took bold steps before I felt qualified. I walked into rooms before I felt ready. I launched ideas before I had every answer. And in doing so, I became the person who was ready. Courage before confidence. Always. Most breakthroughs are born from boredom. I used to chase stimulation, novelty, hype. Then I discovered power in the mundane, the ordinary, the repeated. Reps that looked unremarkable, but built something extraordinary. Now, I don't chase excitement. I chase effectiveness. And effectiveness lives in the daily. Your habits shape your hope. When I was most discouraged, I didn't need a speech. I needed a system, a structure, a plan. I built one. I stuck to it. And over time, hope returned. Not from hype, but from evidence. Structure is a form of self-respect. Your energy introduces you before you speak. So I guarded it, elevated it, aligned it. Not with fake positivity, but with real alignment. I stopped doing things that drained me. I stopped saying yes out of fear. I chose peace over people-pleasing. And my presence changed. Energy doesn't lie. You have to outgrow your excuses. Mine were clever, logical, comfortable, but they kept me stuck. So I confronted them, dismantled them, replaced them with action. Not because I stopped being afraid, but because I stopped letting fear be the final vote. Excuses are loud, but action is louder. You're allowed to evolve, to outgrow dreams, shift priorities, change directions. I used to shame myself for pivoting. Now I see it as progress. What served me then may not serve me now. And the stronger I got, the less I clung. Growth isn't betrayal. It's alignment. You can't fix internal chaos with external success. So I went inward, faced the noise, sat with the silence. And what I found wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. Because when you heal the root, the fruit multiplies. Inner peace became my real profit. Everything is figure-outable if you're willing to stay in the room. I used to leave when it got hard, quit when it got quiet, escape when it got real, but I learned to stay. Stay with the challenge, stay with the decision, stay with the vision. That's where clarity lives. Stay until you break through. There's no such thing as just getting by. You're either growing or you're drifting. So I stopped coasting. I chose to live awake, to challenge comfort, to raise the bar. Mediocrity felt safe until I tasted purpose. Then, I could never go back. I stopped calling it failure. I called it feedback, redirection, refinement. That mindset kept me moving, kept me building, kept me open. Because when failure isn't final, it becomes fuel. Perspective is everything. Your word to yourself is sacred. If I said I'd do it, I did it. Not for the result, for the identity. Because every promise kept built trust, and every broken one, it broke something inside. Now, I don't chase motivation. I protect integrity. That's what moves mountains. The compound effect is always working for you or against you. Every bite, every word, every choice, it stacks. So I made better deposits, tiny, daily, intentional, not perfect but consistent. And over time, the results felt like magic, but they were math. Discipline is math. You won't rise higher than your standards. So I stopped asking, what can I get away with? And started asking, what would excellence do here? That question changed my work, my energy, my relationships. Excellence isn't extra. It's expected when you lead yourself. The next level isn't about adding more, it's about letting go. I released the fear, the guilt, the habits that held me, the stories that limited me. And as I let go, I rose, weightless, focused, ready. Letting go isn't loss, it's liberation. You can't force growth, but you can feed it. I started nurturing my mornings, protecting my evenings, guarding my thoughts, choosing my inputs. Like a gardener, I didn't pull at the plant, I cared for the soil. And growth became inevitable. You don't find purpose, you decide it. I chose mine, wrote it down, repeated it daily, designed my life around it. And when confusion crept in, purpose kept me anchored. Purpose turns chaos into clarity. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. That's not a cliche, it's a command. I stopped waiting for the perfect setup. I used my voice, my phone, my time, and that bias toward action, it built everything. Perfection delays. Progress delivers. Don't confuse comfort with peace. I chased comfort and stayed stuck. I chose peace and started growing. Comfort numbs. Peace empowers. So I leaned into the discomfort that birthed peace. And I never looked back. The standard is the standard. Not how I feel, not what others do, not what's convenient. When I raised mine, everything changed. The way I worked, the way I rested, the way I walked into every room. Set the standard. Then live it even when no one's watching. Your vision will cost you your excuses. So I paid. I stopped blaming. I stopped deflecting. I stopped waiting. I chose responsibility, and with it, power. Excuses feel safe, but they never built anything worth living for. The best ROI I ever found? Reading. Every page rewired my mind, expanded my vocabulary, ignited new thoughts, shortened the distance between me and mastery. Books built me, and the more I read, the more I earned. Because insight changes everything. Burnout wasn't from working too hard. It was from working out of alignment. I was saying yes when I meant no, chasing goals that didn't feel like mine, ignoring what I needed most. So I realigned. Now I build with peace, with clarity, with integrity, and I have more energy than ever. Not all movement is progress. I used to sprint in circles, busy but lost. Then I slowed down, got clear, and moved with precision. Now, every step counts. Every action compounds. Direction, speed, always. Boundaries are bridges to peace, to clarity, to purpose. I used to think they pushed people away, but they brought the right people closer. Boundaries taught others how to treat me and reminded me how to treat myself. They weren't walls. They were invitations to deeper respect. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe. So I examined my beliefs, replaced the broken ones, installed empowering ones. Every new belief rewired my reality. I didn't just wish for more. I believed I deserved more. And life rose to meet that belief. Your focus is your future. What you magnify multiplies. What you repeat rewires. What you ignore atrophies. I focused on my next level, on what mattered, on who I was becoming, and everything around me began to shift. You don't become wealthy by accident. You become wealthy by design, by habits, by courage, by saying yes to vision and no to noise. I stopped hoping. I started engineering. And in that shift, I stepped into everything I once thought was impossible. Silence is strategy. I used to fill the space with noise, updates, validation seeking. Then I learned the value of the unseen work, the unshared wins, the quiet evolution. Now, I build in silence and let the results echo. You have to break the agreement with your old identity, the one that kept you small, safe, silent. I broke it. And in its place, I forged someone new, someone bolder, clearer, more aligned. That's when everything changed. Legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you build daily. I started acting like my actions mattered because they did. In how I led, how I loved, how I lived. Legacy isn't someday, it's now. The price of clarity is discomfort. To see clearly, I had to admit where I was hiding, where I was lying, where I was playing small. It stung, but it saved me. Clarity cuts, but it also heals. I chose truth over comfort. Every time, everything you admire in others can be built in you. Discipline, clarity, courage, influence. They're not traits, they're skills. So I stopped admiring from afar. I started practicing up close. And I became the person I once looked up to. You're not behind. You're in preparation. Every lesson, every delay, every rejection, it was all building you. The moment I saw life that way, pressure faded, gratitude grew, momentum returned. Preparation always precedes promotion. When the vision is clear, decisions get easy. I stopped negotiating with distractions. I stopped explaining my standards. I stopped apologizing for my pace. Clarity created confidence, and confidence made me fast. You're not too late, not too old, not too broken. I thought all of those things. Then I started anyway. Turns out the right time is when you move, not when it's perfect. Move now. Repetition isn't boring. It's mastery. I repeated affirmations, workouts, morning routines, high standards, over and over, until excellence became automatic. Mastery hides in the mundane. You'll know you're growing when peace replaces panic. The storm didn't stop. I just learned how to anchor. In breath, in prayer, in purpose. Now, the waves hit, but they don't drown me. That's growth. I stopped seeking balance and started building rhythm. Balance felt like pressure. Rhythm felt like power. Now, I work in seasons, rest on purpose, execute with flow. Life moves better when it's in rhythm, not resistance. You can't pour from an empty soul. I learned to fill up first, with silence, with stillness, with self-honesty. The more I poured into me, the more I had to give others. Self-care isn't selfish. It's strategy. The right question will change your life faster than the right answer. So I asked better ones. Not what should I do, but who am I becoming? Not what do I lack, but what can I leverage? And everything shifted. You don't need everyone to get it. You just need to get it. Clarity isn't consensus. You don't owe explanations for evolution. Walk it out. Build it anyway. Prove it through progress. Your alignment will attract the aligned. Confidence doesn't come from praise. It comes from evidence. The more I did hard things, the more I trusted myself. Not because others clapped, but because I showed up. Now, confidence isn't a feeling. It's a fact. Earned in the doing. Don't confuse noise with influence. I stopped chasing attention. Started building depth. Because real impact isn't viral. It's vital. And I'd rather be essential than popular. Some days, growth looks like showing up tired. Not your best. Not full of fire, but present, committed, real. That kind of growth, it compounds. Because consistency will carry you when motivation disappears. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a next step. I used to obsess over the map. Now I move with the moment. Clarity comes with motion. Just start. Adjust as you go. Win anyway. The reward is rarely immediate, but it's always inevitable. If you don't quit. So I planted, watered, waited, and trusted. Now, the harvest shows up daily. In confidence, in clarity, in results. The process works if you do. Gratitude is fuel. I stopped waiting to feel thankful. I practiced it. In traffic, in tension, in tight seasons. And it changed my posture. Now, I don't grindy grow. Fueled by perspective. Don't pray for progress if you're not willing to prune. So I let go. Aversions, patterns, attachments. And in the space that pruning created, growth exploded. Less became more. You are your most important project. Not your career. Not your content. Not your income. You. I invested in healing, in learning, in strengthening. Because when you grow, the rest follows. Always. Joy is strategic. I used to think it was optional. Extra. A bonus after the grind. Now, I build it in. In music. In movement. In margin. Because joy keeps me alive. And alive is where my best work happens. You won't always feel powerful, but you can always move with power. It's not about mood. It's about mission. I showed up shaking, doubting, second-guessing, but I still showed up. And every time I did, I grew. I stopped waiting for peace to find me. I created it. I built rituals that calmed me, cut ties that triggered me, chose thoughts that served me. Peace became my priority, and everything else aligned. The secret to momentum? Finishing. I didn't need more projects. I needed more completions. So I picked one thing, pushed it through, closed the loop. And the satisfaction? It fueled the next. Start, but more importantly, finish. Self-respect changed my schedule. I no longer squeeze myself into chaos, no longer abandon rest to prove my worth, no longer say yes to feel needed. Now, I protect me. And the work? It got better too. You're not stuck. You're just rehearsing an outdated pattern. I broke mine. With intention, with discipline, with belief. And the cycle? It shattered. New patterns. New power, new path. Discipline gave me freedom. Structure gave me space. And the more I simplified, the more I scaled. Order isn't restriction. It's the foundation of creative power. The more I aligned with purpose, the less I needed permission. I no longer asked, "Is this okay?" I asked, "Is this true?" That filter changed my life. Don't wait for the pain to get worse, move when it whispers. I used to wait until breaking point. Now, I listen early, shift faster, heal sooner, and peace lasts longer. The best version of me doesn't rush. He moves with precision, with faith, with fire. I slowed down to speed up, and that rhythm built everything. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is rest, reset, regroup, realign. Not quit, not disappear. Just pause, refuel, rise again. And I always did. I stopped seeking comfort and started seeking capacity. What could I carry, create, contribute? That became my measure. And it made me limitless. Your future doesn't need a guarantee. It needs a decision. So I stopped bargaining with doubt. And I decided to rise, to build, to believe. And every decision compounded. You can have excuses or excellence, but not both. I chose excellence, even when it was quiet, uncelebrated, inconvenient, because the fruit always follows the root, and I was rooted in purpose. You don't have to feel brave to be brave. I acted with shaky hands, uncertain feet, doubting thoughts, but I acted, and the courage showed up after. Bravery isn't a mood, it's emotion. Vision will cost you the version of you that played small. So I paid. And in the exchange, I gained clarity, power, alignment. Worth every tear, every pivot, every leap. I don't miss who I used to be. I built someone better. Your capacity is expanded through challenge and comfort. So I leaned into the hard things, the hard choices, the hard conversations. And on the other side, I found new strength. Comfort protects you. Challenge transforms you. Your impact won't be measured by what you said, but by what you sustained. So I stayed. Through the silence, through the dips, through the doubt. And the staying, that became the legacy. Your timeline isn't broken. Stop rushing. Stop comparing. Stop panicking. You're not late, you're layering. And when it's ready, it'll rise. Just keep building. People don't follow perfection. They follow presence. I stopped trying to impress. I started choosing integrity, consistency, depth. And in that presence, I became magnetic. Be real. Be present. Be powerful. You are not your mistakes. You are what you learn from them. So I stopped punishing myself. I started studying myself. And those lessons, they became leverage. Failure isn't final, it's formative. I didn't wait for the storm to pass, I learned how to dance in it. To create in chaos, to build in doubt, to lead with faith. That resilience, it made me unstoppable. Because peace is not the absence of pressure, it's presence under pressure. Clarity isn't a lightning bolt, it's a light switch. It comes in the doing, the building, the becoming. Every move made it brighter. So I moved, and clarity met me in motion. Who you are when no one's watching is who you really are. So I showed up for me. Without the audience, without the applause, without the metrics. And in doing so, I became solid. Character over clout. Progress is found in the invisible, in the early wake-ups, the silent sacrifices, the private discipline. That's where winners are built. Before the spotlight, beneath the surface. Invisible reps equals visible results. Don't wait to be chosen, choose yourself. I stopped hoping to be picked. I picked myself. Built the platform, wrote the words, shared the work. Now I don't wait, I create. When you know who you are, the world can't shake you. So I got clear about my values, my vision, my voice. And from that clarity, I moved differently. Now, noise doesn't distract me. Trends don't sway me. Identity, popularity. Don't fear starting small, fear staying there. I started with no audience, no capital, no connections. But I started, and every step stacked. Start where you are, grow as you go. I stopped trying to prove and started choosing to be aligned, to be grounded, to be excellent. Proving drained me, being empowered me. Now, I let results speak the loudest. If it's not building you, it's breaking you. So I paid attention to the habits, the people, the inputs. I chose alignment, and alignment amplified everything. Don't wait to feel qualified, qualify yourself through commitment. I showed up messy, unsure, incomplete, but I showed up, and every step made me stronger. Qualified by consistency. What you whisper to yourself matters more than what the world shouts. So I changed the inner dialogue. I spoke life, truth, power, and that voice became louder than fear. Speak well to yourself. I used to chase peace in the wrong places, in applause, in possessions, in people's approval. Now I find it in purpose, in alignment, in solitude. Peace was never out there. It was always an inside job. Every level of success requires a new level of surrender. To discipline, to discomfort, to calling. So I surrendered. And in letting go, I rose. Surrender isn't weakness, it's access. You're allowed to rebuild as many times as it takes. There's no shame in starting again, only strength. I rebuilt with better tools, stronger roots, clearer vision, and what I'm building now, it's unshakable. I stopped treating success like luck and started treating it like a system, built from habits, anchored in belief, fueled by clarity. Now, success isn't something I chase. It's something I compound. Resilience isn't just bouncing back, it's rising stronger. Every hit taught me something. Every loss shaped me. Every setback prepared me. Now, I don't just recover, I rebuild. Better, wiser, bolder. You don't need more time, you need more focus. So I trimmed the noise, protected the hours, chose the priorities, and my results multiplied. Focus made me rich. You can outwork the competition, but you can't outrun misalignment. So I got honest about what I loved, what drained me, what ignited me, and I built around that. Now, energy is my edge. I stopped asking, what if it doesn't work? And started asking, what if it does? That one question flipped my fear into fire. And fire builds futures. Purpose doesn't always feel good, but it always feels right. I followed it through silence, sacrifice, solitude. And in those moments, I found the path. Not easy, but worth it. Every breakthrough began as a burden I refused to ignore. The frustration, the question, the tension, it became the fuel. Your burden is a clue. Follow it. Your next level won't greet you, it'll test you. So, I studied the tests, recognized the patterns, stayed the course. And when it felt hardest, I was closest. The test always precedes the transformation. Clarity is expensive. It costs your comfort, your old stories, your outdated identity. But once I paid, I saw everything differently. And what I saw was priceless. You don't become magnetic by saying more. You become magnetic by living more aligned. Alignment attracts. I didn't need to prove. I needed to embody. Now, energy speaks louder than strategy. Every time I chose discipline over comfort, I built a new future. Tiny choices. Repeated. Now, the future feels inevitable because I built it, brick by brick. You don't need a map, you need momentum. Maps change, clarity evolves, but motion, it compounds. So I moved, daily, faithfully, imperfectly, and momentum became my mentor. Your old self will beg you to stay familiar, I thanked them and left anyway. Because destiny doesn't live in what's familiar. It lives in what's aligned. Stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I fly? That shift changed everything. Because fear is loud, but possibility is louder if you listen. So I did, and I soared. This isn't just about wealth. It's about who you become in pursuit of it. Disciplined, focused, intentional, powerful. And once you become that person, you never go back. Because the reward isn't just income. It's identity. If you're waiting for the perfect time, you'll wait forever. Perfection is a mask for fear. I dropped the mask, took the step, showed up. Now, I move imperfectly with power. The only permission you need is your own. So I gave it. To dream, to speak, to win, to rest. I stopped asking for a seat. I built the table. I realized the most important project I'll ever complete is me. So I went all in. Daily refinement, daily investment, daily belief. And what I built can't be shaken, because I built it from the inside out. This is bigger than money. It's about the legacy, the alignment, the freedom. Money is a tool, but identity, that's the treasure. And now I walk in both. Success didn't change me. It revealed me. All the work, all the waiting, all the unseen discipline. Now it shows. Now it echoes. Because what you build in silence always speaks. You don't need luck. You need alignment. So I stopped hoping and started harmonizing. Vision with values, discipline with desire, action with identity. And the universe, it responded. Everything I wanted was on the other side of identity. Not effort, not hustle, identity. So I built a new one, on purpose, with precision. And that identity, it unlocked everything. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So I became the kind of person my goals required. Disciplined, aligned, undeniable. And the results, they chased me. I'm not here to impress. I'm here to impact. To speak with clarity. To build with conviction. To walk with purpose. Likes fade. Legacy lasts. So I build for the long game. At some point, you have to stop preparing and start becoming. So I did. And the world responded not to who I was, but to who I decided to be. The shift was internal. The results were external. Be it now. I no longer fear being misunderstood. Because clarity with myself is more valuable than consensus with others. They don't have to get it. I do. Every day I build, I'm planting seeds. Not for now, but for the future. And the harvest? It's inevitable when the roots are deep. I'm not chasing success. I'm embodying alignment. Because when you move in truth, everything changes. Doors open, voices quiet, power rises. And success? It follows alignment. What I build isn't just for me. It's for the version of me who needed it. For the one who doubted, who waited, who almost quit. They're watching no end. They're proud. The pressure I used to fear, now I welcome it. Because it sharpens me, tests me, prepares me. And I don't break. I build. Every day I lead myself, I earn the right to lead others. And that kind of leadership, it doesn't need titles. It speaks through action. The version of me who started wouldn't recognize the one speaking now. And that's the point. Growth is loud on the inside, even if no one sees it yet. Keep going. This wasn't a motivational speech. This was a transfer of belief. From me to you. Now it's your turn. Build it. Live it. Become it. Because the journey to becoming more valuable and wealthy isn't just about what you gain. It's about what you let go of, what you refine, what you rise into. And that version of you, they're ready. Now go meet them.